Things have been falling long before Newton came up with the theory of gravity, and many scientists and philosophers tried their hands at explaining why things fall. In the 3rd century BCE, Aristotle came up with a theory for why some things like stones fall while things like smoke or clouds rise. According to him, everything was made of 5 elements: earth, water, air, fire, and ether. And each of these elements had their own place in the universe. So here's how his explanation went. If an object had earth, it would be heavy and would fall to the ground. If it had air, it would rise. So a stone falls because it is made of earth and water, and smoke and clouds rise because they both have air as a component. Aristotle was so happy with his theory that he called it Aristotelian gravity, and people actually believed him for centuries. Until Galileo dropped 2 objects of different masses from the Leaning Tower of Pisa and proved that no matter what the mass was, things fell at the same rate. And that spelled the end for Aristotelian gravity. Although there are no records of Galileo's famous Leaning Tower of Pisa experiment, there are written records of some of his other experiments. In one of them, he dropped a ball from the top of a ramp. He observed that the ball always rose to the same height no matter what angle the opposite ramp was placed at. According to this, if the opposite ramp was laid flat, the ball should have gone on moving forever. But this wasn't what actually happened. The ball rolled for a while and then stopped. Galileo reasoned that this was because there was some force acting on the ball, slowing it down. And this brought him to the conclusion that there were 2 kinds of motion: horizontal motion, where things move at a steady speed in a straight line, unless a force made it slow down or speed up, and vertical motion, where objects picked up speed at a steady rate. The year Galileo died, Newton was born, and Newton decided to put these 2 rules of motion together. Newton realized that if a force made an object speed up or slow down in the horizontal direction, there must also be a force acting vertically that makes things speed up as they fall. And this vertical force was gravity. Newton used this vertical force to explain everything from why apples fall to why the earth revolves around the sun. And this led to what we call the universal law of gravitation. But the story of gravity doesn't stop with Newton. With time, we realized that there were problems with Newton's laws of gravity. For instance, it couldn't be used to explain why there is a 43-second difference between the predicted and actual time of Mercury's orbit. By the time we figured out that Newton's laws of gravity were flawed, Newton was happy in his grave and didn't really get the chance to explain himself. But Einstein came up with a better explanation. He thought of space-time like a stretched fabric, kind of like a trampoline. If you keep anything heavy on it, the fabric bends and objects fall towards the center. And he called this new theory his general theory of relativity. It's been almost 2 millennia from Aristotle to Einstein, but people are still learning about gravity. Let's learn the basics and see if we can contribute too.